Okay, making a new video about Destiny and getting a little bored of this game, to be honest. I'm seriously thinking about deleting it from my hard drive. I've been playing it like crazy. I have over 1,850 hours according to time wasted on Destiny.com. And that doesn't count tower and orbit time, which is probably another at least 500 hours. You know, objectively, I'm probably at least 2,500 hours played. Because all time in tower and orbit's not idle like they think. In fact, most of it's gameplay. You know, if you're in the tower, you're running around, you're picking up bounties, you're doing whatever, talking to the speaker, you're talking to NPCs, vendors. You're playing the game, you know. And okay, granted, a lot of time in orbit is idle time for me, but a lot of it isn't. Point is, many hundreds more hours on top of the 1851 that time wasted on Destiny had me at a couple weeks ago. I've got a fucking shit ton of time in this game. At least 2,500 active hours, maybe 3,000. Insane amount. But, so, I was thinking about deleting it pretty soon to get ready for Destiny 2 and to focus on some other things. But I wanted to go over my current PvP loadouts and exotics, what I do. Now the thing is, I have Warlock, Hunter, and Titan now. I didn't have this for most of the game, but I do now. And, okay, mainly my basic loadout as far as weapons. I go with Wormwood Sidearm I have. Everybody goes with that. It has high caliber rounds, it has hand loaded, and it has rangefinder. Now this was recently sold by the vendor and a bunch of people on Reddit and whatnot jumped on it, but I'm going to be hipster Destiny here. I had it way before that. I had it like 6 months ago or something from a random drop. And I enjoy the heck out of kicking everybody else's sidearm with it because I've done a lot of research on sidearm, what perks you want, and so forth, so on. And in my opinion, I could be wrong because I'm not a great player of this game or anything, but I came to the conclusion that range is the #1 thing you want on a sidearm. A lot of people, oh, I want hot swap, I want quick draw, blah, 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 blah. No. In my opinion, you want range above anything else on a sidearm. Because what I figured out was that the stats on sidearms are all pretty much the same, and you do not modify them much either. You know, like range, if you get a range perk on a sidearm, it increases the range very little. It's not like a scout rifle or a hand, especially a hand cannon. You know, they operate in very narrow ranges is this thing you need to understand about sidearms. So, like, hot swap is not helping you that much. And they have very, very high equip speed. This one's 64. I guess it's not the highest in the world, but typically, you know, they have very high aim assistance, and you can't change it much. You know, like if you got this one has 84 aim assistance. If I got hidden hand on that to bump the aim assistance, you know, it's sitting at 84. I'm not worried about it. 88 reload. You know, the stats are very similar for sidearms, and they're not going to stability. They're not going to change a whole hell of a lot. So my point is that you don't need to worry so much about them, and you don't need to worry about things like hot swap and things, you know, hidden hand, quick draw, all this stuff people want on a sidearm. Go for range because there was a big post on Reddit, and the guy basically showed that sidearms damage drop-off starts at like 9 meters, depending on their range stat, and it goes out to about 11 meters. So, like, if you pretty much have a max range sidearm, or the normal sidearms, not quite, there's some weird ones like Queen's Choice that you can't really get anymore too much, that have different weird ranges. Vestian Dynasty, that's not year 3. There's some weird range ones, but say the current, you know, available ones for the most part, their range is pretty low, and so you're looking at 9 to 11 meters. But to me, to where damage drop-off starts, like a low-range hand cannon, maybe it starts at 9 meters. A high-range one starts close to 11 meters. Now, to me, that 2 meters is everything. You want to push that out as far as you can. Because with this Wormwood, for example, I beat so many sidearms, and I can tell a lot of times how I do it. They'll be right around that 10-meter mark, and they'll be shooting at me, and I'll be shooting at them. But I'm much more effective. My shots are hitting them. My shots are doing more damage than theirs. I win so many, and I end up winning so many battles that way where I can tell they're right on the edge of that 10 meters. They're right around that 10-meter range. You know, I'm not rushing. I'm not 2 meters. I'm not 6 meters. I'm not 15 meters. You know, I'm 10 meters, and my Wormwood is you know, filleting them, and they can't quite kill me. You know, that's what the advantage of range gives you. It gives you that extra 1 to 2 meters that are absolutely key to killing people. Especially another thing to think about is shotgun one-hit kill range. It's not as important anymore, but since shotguns aren't so prevalent because of the ammo nerfs. But shotgun one-hit kill range is something like 7.5 to 8 meters. So think about that. You need every inch longer than that you can get to stop those shotgun rushers. So that key range between 9 and 11 meters, every inch that you can increase it is key. So that's why range perks are, in my opinion, so good on sidearms. And that's why I've always loved this one, because it has 3 range perks, because high caliber rounds is a range perk too. Because a while ago they changed it and made it where high caliber rounds affects your range and increases it. So like this gun, it starts out with a 28 base range, I believe. High caliber rounds gives it +1, that takes it to 29. Hand loaded gives it +2, that takes it to 31. That gives it a base range of 31. Plus you add rangefinder there, which doesn't affect the stat, but affects the real range, so to speak. And rangefinder is the best single range perk you can get on a sidearm. It increases the effective range about 1 meter, according to this guy on Reddit's testing. So you got 1 meter right here. You probably got maybe another half a meter between these 2 range perks, maybe a little less. You know, the effective range of this wormwood's probably like 10 plus meters. So you've got about a meter more than people that don't have rangefinder on their sidearms, which is a lot right out of the gate. And some more, a little bit more, people who don't have hand loaded and high caliber rounds. So, and everybody knows wormwood doesn't kick a lot. Like I use my jabber hockey sometimes, but it kicks a lot. The reason I use the jabber hockey is it has appended mag. It has an 18 mag. It also has rangefinder. It doesn't have all the other perks. It doesn't have a hand loaded. It doesn't have 8 high caliber rounds. But it holds 18, which I go back and forth. I was using it because for a while I thought having 18, you get 1 mag on respawn of sidearm ammo. And to get 18 instead of the 12 you get with the other wormwood I was showing you is a big deal. You know, I figured that generally this jabber hockey can take me through 2 encounters. You know, it figures 6 to 9 rounds per encounter. Basically, you know, I know, oh, you should be able to do it in 5 rounds because you should make every. That's not the reality of sidearms. You're spraying ammo. You know, if you're lucky, yeah, you can do it in 5, 6 rounds. But realistically, 18 rounds will get you through 2 encounters. Where 12 rounds, generally to me, it's only 1. You know, if you expend, let's say, 8 rounds on an encounter, or 7, 8 rounds, that leaves you with 4 or 5. It's not enough to encounter somebody again because you're not going to be able to kill them with what's left, and you're not going to have time to switch to your primary in that kind of close quarters battle. You know, if you have 5 rounds left in your sidearm, let's say, you can't, you know, it doesn't make sense to go into battle, close range battle with them with your sidearm. Well, if you can melee them, that's fine, but let's say they're 8 yards away. It doesn't, 8 meters. It doesn't make sense to try to shoot them with those 5 rounds and then switch to your pulse or something because it takes too much time. So, and 5 rounds isn't enough to kill them either. I don't think. I'm not real sure on my sidearm TTK. But, you know, let's just assume that you don't have enough rounds to kill them. But you have 4 or 5 rounds left over. You know, it's not enough for an encounter, so your sidearm's basically useless at that point. So the jabber hockey could just generally get me through 2 encounters with its mag. And, you know, I had this theoretical idea in my mind that, hey, that's better than, even though it's not as good, the main thing is it kicks a lot more, which I was just looking at the stability. Stability on it's a 76, and stability on this wormwood's a 78. So it's similar, but I mean, Bungie's stats are kind of broken, I swear, a lot of times. And, you know, this wormwood kicks, everybody uses the wormwood for a reason. It seems to kick a hell of a lot less than the jabber hockey. I don't know if it's a subjective thing, because the stats, you know, 78 stability for 76 are about the same. The jabber hockey kicks a lot. The range isn't as high because all it's got is rangefinder. So, the long story short, this wormwood is a much more effective sidearm, and this one just has more ammo. And I was using the one with more ammo, but recently I was having a bad game, and I was like, screw this shit, and I switched to the wormwood, so I'm back to the wormwood. It's the most effective sidearm I have. And even though, actually, the special ammo is not too bad. You can usually run around and get a box, you know, and so you're usually not too pressed for ammo. So, it's another reason I ditched the jabber hockey. And it's very effective. High caliber rounds, by the way, is also another. It's proven to work on sidearms. The guy at Reddit also tested that with video proof and everything. Now, I don't know how good it actually is compared to not having it, but I like it. It's going to help, you know, prevent your enemies from returning fire and whatnot. So that's the worm. And as far as what special I use, I have not run. I ran snipers for most of my time in this game, like the first couple of years. And the stupid thing is, I ran Mida and a sniper. Well, it's not stupid, but a lot of people would call that redundant. And I mean, I liked it. I didn't like it, but I thought it was somewhat useful. But basically, in this game, for whatever reason, I've never been able to make shotguns click for me. Even in the height of their meta, I tried them over and over. I've never been able to make snipers click for me. I don't know why. I can do a little better with snipers. I can be a little effective with them. I'm terrible at headshots, but the thing about a sniper is you can body shot people that are damaged and get some kills that way, some easy kills. Still, I'm thinking of just for fun, because right now I play Destiny just PvP for fun, and the funnest thing is fucking around with different loadouts, different classes. I'm thinking of trying sidearm again since Icebreaker is all the rage right now. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking about trying a Icebreaker hand cannon loadout for fun, but for effectiveness, I never found anything in this game. This was for the first 2.5 years of playing it, practically. About 2 years before I switched to sidearms. I switched to sidearms, again, Destiny hipster here, way before the ammo nerf, and they got really popular. Basically, there was a patch in the past where sidearms got buffed. I always liked the idea of them, but they got buffed. Their damage got buffed. It didn't increase their time to kill, I don't believe. But it still buffed their damage quite a bit, and that helps a lot on, because time to kill is not always a cut and dry thing, What if your enemy's wounded or something? They got a major damage boost, and around that patch is when I started using them, and I used them for months when it was all shotguns in the Crucible, and I did well with them. And then they changed the special ammo, and then it was like all sidearms became the new meta. But I was using them way, way before that. Truly, like I'm not just saying that. They were the first sidearm that first of all, they filled a hole in my gameplay because I was always running around with Mida or a Scout at that time. I was pretty much Scouts only, other than the Pulse meta, where I used a Pulse like everybody else. But a Pulse is not that different than a Scout. They're both a little bit longer range, rifle type, aim down the sights and fire a weapon. And I used, like, Nerwin's Mercy was my favorite in the Pulse days. And that's a little bit more of a longer range pulse anyway, Anyways, so point is when I found sidearms, I started using them. They were the first gun that I really started getting, the first special that I really started getting a lot of kills with. For years in this game, I would use specials and I would feel like, wow, this special is just not, it's so weird, hard to explain, but it's like the specials hurt my gameplay. Like, I was always trying to force them into situations and they never felt, for whatever reason, and I'm sure it's because I'm a terrible player, but shotguns and snipers just never felt natural to me. They never felt like they're helping my game. I always felt like I was trying to force them. Like I'd use Mida and run around, and then I'd be like, oh, I need to use my sniper. I need to start learning how to use my sniper. I need to get good with my sniper. And I try to, get some sniper kills and probably end up dying or not getting kills and just slowing my gameplay down. And it's just like, why am I trying to force feed the sniper? It's just, and I did that for months and months and months because I ran Mida sniper for a long time. A lot of people say, well, oh, you're and if you think, well, if you run Mida, you got to run a shotgun, Well, I tried that too, trust me, and I was even worse. So, I felt like I could do a little bit with snipers. Snipers were a little bit useful to me. Shotguns not at all. I'm not good at close quarters combat. My reaction time's not good, so I tend to a long range playstyle. But with sidearms, especially before the ammo nerfs, it was like a dream come true because you cover all ranges with Mida and a sidearm. You can pop people with the Mida at longer ranges, but now I had something when they rushed me up close. I also tend to play a very defensive playstyle, although not always. But so now when somebody comes close, now I've got something that for close quarters combat. The sidearm. It felt natural, and I've never looked back. And since I used sidearms a few months ago, like I've got so many more kills with my special. Like I bet in the first 2 years I played this game, I got like probably twice as many kills with sidearms in the 6 months since I started using sidearms as in the 2 years prior. All the sniper and shotgun kills combined I had, and fusion rifle kills. I bet you add all those up for 2 years, and I bet you I had at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times as many in 6 months with sidearms. I mean, I just really didn't use snipers and fusions and stuff much, and sidearms I use a lot. So right there that tells me if you're not getting use out of your special, there were so many times I'd wonder to myself, like, why am I carrying, what is the point of this special? I'm not using it, because I was better without them. You know, like if I used the fusion rifle, which is only a few times, I'd be scared to take it out because it usually just led to my death. You know, same thing with the shotgun. You know, I didn't know how to play a shotgun, and maybe I just needed a lot of practice, but I just could not make them work, and I tried, and I ran snipers for a long time, so it's not like I didn't try. Sidearms felt natural, felt great, and I love them. So they get a little boring like anything. That's the thing in this game. Anything you use all the time gets boring. Like, I got so sick of Mida because I used it for so long. And still to this day, pretty much like Mida's the plague to me. I hate it. It's probably my most effective gun still, but I hate it because I'm just sick of it after using it for 2.5 years almost all the time. Every other primary is like so much more fun to me, except maybe a hand cannon. Even a hand cannon is probably more fun, just not effective. I'm not good with hand cannons. So that's my special. Now let's go to my heavy. I use this Warpath. And if you know anything about heavy, you know that, or you should know, there's basically two schools of thought. You can go with a machine gun or a rocket launcher. I go with a rocket launcher. It's more instant kill, instant satisfaction, so to speak. And I just like it better. I don't know how else to put it. With a machine gun, you basically get your heavy, and you hope you don't get killed by a rocket launcher. And if you don't get killed by a rocket launcher, you hope to go on a long streak with the machine gun. That's basically how it works. I just prefer the rocket launcher side of things. It's just better to me. Generally. I mean, I'll use whatever. But my default is definitely in most game modes of the Warpath. In Rumble, I run a machine gun because the machine gun occasionally allows you to go on a long streak that lets you win the Rumble match. Well, Rumble when I was going for wins. Like if I just played it casually, which I don't anyway. Rumble's way too sweaty for me to play casually. But when I went for the 100 Rumble Grimoire, I played exclusively Rumble for like 4 months to get that 100 Rumble Grimoire. And that was recently. You know, I probably just stopped that like 2-3 months ago when I finally got the 100th win. I ran a machine gun just because in Rumble, if you're the last one standing with heavy and you got a machine gun, you stand a good chance to win that Rumble match, hopefully. You know, so that's why I did it there. It's a little different. But anything non-Rumble, I run rocket launcher first, and I run this Warpath, which has Field Scout, tripod, grenades, and horseshoes. Reason I run this is, of course, you need grenades and horseshoes. Tripod and Field Scout combo, and this is a high inventory rocket launcher. Oh, it also has warhead veneers. This thing picks up 3 rockets. That's what's key about it. I'm not sure if you need rocket launcher boots. I think you do, but I run them, no big deal. And it'll pick up 3. And there's basically 2 schools of rocket launchers in this game. There's ones with really good stats, like your Suros JLB-47 over here. 89 stats you want are velocity and blast radius. 89 velocity, 94 blast radius. Versus this thing, 98 blast radius, 44 velocity. Velocity's lacking there. But if you run this JLB or any high-spec rocket launcher, you're only going to pick up 2. It doesn't matter what you do. There is no high-spec rocket launcher that picks up 3, except it used to be Truth, then they nerfed it. That's why everybody ran Truth. It was the best. But also I think possibly Steel Oracle. It used to be Ash Factory, now I think Steel Oracle is the same thing. But here's the thing. It's really tough to get the roll that you need on the Steel Oracle, where it has grenades and horseshoes, tripod, Field Scout, I believe is what you'd need. Even then those stats don't really look better than my Warpath over here. I guess the blast, no, it's not better. Now, I also have, so I use this because it has decent stats. It has pretty good stats. It has a huge blast radius, it lacks velocity, and it picks up 3. That's why I use it. Now there's a Tormund's Bellows that used to be from Iron Banner that I haven't used in forever, but I was looking at the other day and its stats actually seem more balanced. I may try it. I haven't used it in a long time. It's the same specs. Picks up 3. You see here it's got 70 blast radius and 86 velocity. I liked, when I switched at the time, I liked the Warpath a lot better, so I just assumed it was better. But having looked at the stats, this seems more well-rounded. Yeah, the blast radius is lower. You go from a 70 to a 98. But the velocity, like the blast radius is 28 less. The velocity is 42 more, though. So I don't know. It might be worth trying that. Other thing I don't like about this warpath is the equip speed is really low, and you'll notice it's very, like if you jump around and try to shoot somebody, like it won't even be ready in time for you to jump around. In fact, I'm really going to go ahead and try this old Tormund's Bellows again. Haven't used it in ages. Going to go ahead and put it on my character right now. Yeah, the equip speed is actually really noticeably bad on this warpath. Like when you're walking around, your rocket launcher will kind of like you point it down, you know, and you have to point it up to shoot it, and you'll see it like actually takes a long time to do that. And like I said, you'll notice that if you're trying to do the old hop around and launch rockets, it's actually like so slow to be ready to fire. It'll actually kind of stop you from doing that sometimes. But it's the best that I have. It has a huge blast radius, and it's a little slow on the velocity. You have to take into account its shortcomings. You don't really want to try to map people with it because the velocity is low. But if it's anything, you know, you play your angles, play your corners, play your close quarters, and you can really mess some people up with that huge blast radius. And it picks up 3. Have I mentioned that enough times? So there's my heavy and special defaults. Now, primary, lately, what I've been doing in this game, there's not much left to do. I've kind of moved into this phase where all I do is like screwing around. I'm not even really doing any PvP. There's almost nothing left in PvP I want to do. So I'm just doing screwing around PvP and the PvE. And unless there's doubles, which I could go for the Grimoire. But I have all the other PvP Grimoire. Most weeks doubles isn't a thing. So for primaries, what I'm actually doing is I usually get the bounties. The pulse rifle bounty, sidearm bounty. Now see, the thing is, most things I already have pretty much the best possible rolls you can get. So there's not a whole hell of a lot for me to strive for in the game. But I do not have certain pulse rifle rolls that I want. So on either a Pistol's PDX-45 or a Hawksaw. So, and I like pulses and I like scouts. It's fun to play with different roles of them, even though sadly only a few are really viable. I don't think much of Angel's Advocate or Distant Star anymore. There was a time I did, but especially Angel's Advocate has never been good. They might be good if you can get a good roll, though. That's the point of most of this stuff. Searching for good rolls, but what I'm using right now, I'm just trying to do stuff for fun, right? So I use either the Pistol's PDX-45 with 31 range, 99 stability. With perfect balance, counterbalance, and small bore. Very fun gun. 99 stability. I made another video about this one, so you should know all about it. I kind of prefer it to my old vendor Hawksaw, which is at a, oh, that's a different Hawksaw. That one has too low a range. 36 range, 90 stability, counterbalance. I prefer this PDX for whatever reason. It's a beast. It's fun as shit, close range, and pretty, you know, can reach out decently far as pulses can. So when I'm doing pulse rifle bounty, what I basically do is if I come across the close range map, I run this Suros right now, or a pulse. But right this second is the Suros, and then if I run across the Earth map, a longer range map of any kind, Bannerfall, Frontier, I switch to my Scout to do the Scout Rifle bounty. And I use this particular Suros P43, which has an interesting perk set, and I can explain that. The main thing is I don't want to use Mida. Mida is way more effective than any other Scout I have, but it's so boring to me. So I've been running the Suros P43 lately. It's a lot of fun. I went through all the... Suros P43 is a very good Scout for a 37-48 Scout. I mean, people run Burning Eye a lot, but this 43 is probably better in my opinion. I've never gotten a Burning Eye because I don't do trials. In the new bounties I can get trials weapons, but I haven't gotten one yet. But I can't imagine a Scout really being better than this, a 37-48 Scout being better than this Disc 43, because the thing about these, you can get them from the gunsmith, and you can tweak the perks to anything you want, you know. So I have several with 100 stability that are really fun. Channeling stock on this alone will give you 100 stability. I believe it, or maybe you need perfect balance too, I'm not even sure. See, like, and I have many of them that I like. This one is kind of like, oh, my max range build. You know, if I ever want, I don't really use it, but say I ever wanted to, max range, like I'm on Widow's Court and I need to really snipe. I have this one. It's got 100 range, the way its perks work out. So on and so forth. I've got several 100 stability ones, or close, 99 stability. And this one's full auto, which I don't really like full auto generally. This one's perk set is very interesting, and I like it. It has injection mold out of all things, because I thought about this scout like objectively and rationally, and tried to consider it. And I think its main weakness is, one of its main weaknesses is that the ADS and the just general, handling of scouts is kind of weak, especially non-Midas scouts. And it's so subtle that I don't think you can notice it. It might be a couple frames here and there of ADS time, of ready time, of stow time. But overall, it just makes them a lot less effective, I think, and you don't really notice it. So this Suros has a base equip speed of 39, which is fairly low. So knowing that, I thought what you really need on this gun, a key thing, you need something to make it snappier. And that's why I like this injection mold perk. I've been on Reddit, it gives you some increased stability, and it gives you increased handling. It was confirmed on Reddit that injection mold helps ADS speed. It's kind of like a mini quick draw, which I don't think you can roll quick draw in a Dis 43. Not positive, but I'm almost positive you can't. So I really, out of all things, people are probably like, why the hell would you want injection mold? What a useless perk, Most people. But to my thinking, it shows up a key weakness of this gun. It's somewhat low equip speed, which a ton of scouts suffer from. And people don't really think of it that way. They never try to, if they're using the scout rifle, they never go, man, this thing needs bigger equip speed. But it really, I think it could really help. I could be wrong. But I feel like this gun performs well for me. It's got 82 stability. It's got rangefinder. That's another big key, because injection mold does decrease the range. And it's got perfect balance to kick that stability. So to me, it's got a good balance. It's snappier. It's got good stability. Keeps solid range plus rangefinder. A big magazine. I'm a real fan of the Dis 43. To me, outside of Mida, it might be the best scout in the game, in my opinion. For a while, I thought Distant Star was better. For a while, I was all about Distant Star, but I'm tired of Distant Star. Distant Star's not doing it for me anymore. The last couple times I'm using it, I'm just like, it's just so much worse than Mighty, Angel's Advocate, I never was a big fan of. Now, maybe if I get the right perk rolls on one of those guns, I'll be, all about it. But so that's the way it stands now. I use this particular roll, the Suros Dis 43, when I'm doing Scout Rifle Bounty, which is any kind of map I consider big, and this pulse as on closer maps. That's simple. Wormwood and Warpath either way. Right now, I'm thinking about starting a hand cannon, which I'll use my vendor palindrome, and icebreaker loadout pretty soon, just for fun, because everybody seems to be doing that. And I was experimenting with the B29 party favor the other day. Didn't like it. I'll probably just go ahead and dismantle it. My problem with it is the magazine's too low. After you put braced frame on, the magazine's 18, and that just gets to the point where it's just too much of a problem, in my opinion. You're gonna get one kill and you gotta reload. It's just, to me, the dividing line of where pulse, the mag starts to be a problem for some reason is exactly 27. I don't mind pulses with 27. When you get to 24, right there, at 24, I start finding it a problem. Although you could do it with old Clever Dragon because it's so good, so I guess it's doable. But 24 is exactly the dividing line. 24 or below, I have a problem. I don't like it. 27 and above, I don't mind. More is better, but I'm fine with 27 in the mag. 9 bursts. Well, this video's already going really long, but I'll keep going with my exotics and my thinking and what I run. Warlock, I never run Sunsinger. Maybe maybe I could, but to me, I don't know. I just doesn't appeal to me. You don't really have a killing super anyway. Now it would be good in elimination modes, but I don't really run those much. So I just don't run Sunsinger. That's the one Warlock class I almost know nothing about. I barely ever played it in my life. Because you gotta remember, like, most of this game I just had 3 hunters. White Titans and Warlocks are new to me, so I'm still kind of exploring them. Although I've been using them for a few months, so especially Titan. I made a Titan first. I know a little bit about them now, but nothing like an expert. I know a lot more about Hunter. As far as exotics, what I run right now on Warlock is Voidfang Vestments. And there's only about 3 exotics. You can go on Guardian GG. I've talked about this before. And look at the most used exotics for a particular subclass, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what everybody uses. And it's pretty obvious to me, at least when I looked a few months ago, there's basically 3 exotics that see heavy use for the Warlock in PvP, and only 3. They're Voidfang Vestments, Nothing Manacles, and Ophidian Aspects, which at that time were more dominant because this is before they got nerfed. So it's one of those 3 really, and the Nothing Manacles are scatter grenade machines basically. I don't use scatter grenade. I don't really know a lot about it. Or I use the Voidfang Vestments. I like it because it gives you a grenade on death, which to me is a huge small full grenade energy. It's a huge thing because you die so much in this game. At least I do, and anybody who plays it does. That having a grenade up on death, to me, is a lot more effective than a lot of the double grenade gauntlets, really. I mean, especially in Rumble, I noticed it. Like, having that because you're dying all the time in Rumble. You die, you respawn, you go back. Especially if you want to play it to maximum effect. In Rumble, you want to just be killing, and if you trade in Rumble, it's kind of a win, especially if you're in the lead. So Rumble's all about forcing engagements, fast pace. Getting killed is fine. So you're getting killed constantly in Rumble. You don't want to play cautious in Rumble. So just to respawn with a grenade every time, God, you may die 20 times in a Rumble match, or 15 times. That's 15 grenades. A double grenade gauntlet is going to get you hardly any more, maybe 4 more or something. To me, it's surprisingly how effective Voidfang Vestments are. So much so that I even run them on my Stormcaller, even though they're not Stormcaller equipped. Partly just because I don't know what else to run in the Stormcaller. I guess I could run the double melee gauntlets, whatever the hell they're called, Claws of Amakar, I believe. Or I'm not sure. But I just run Voidfang. It's good basic, and it helps. And I mainly just run Stormcaller or Voidwalker. Voidwalker Voidfang is really great because it's giving you that extra seeker on your Axiom Bolts. And Axiom Bolts to me are so good. They are one of the. To me, there's really probably 3 grenades in this game that are like, they transcend all the other grenades. They are Axiom Bolt, Lightning Grenade for the Titan, which are way OP and annoying, by the way, and Skip Grenades for the Hunter. Those are like the 3 grenades right there. And so to get an extra seeker on your Axiom Bolt, and it's really good for void locks. And I even wear it on my Stormcaller because I just don't know what else to wear. I'm not huge into CQC, as I said, so melee gauntlets don't really help me. There's not really a good Stormcaller specific exotic in my opinion. So I just run these Voidfangs. They still give me a new grenade, even though it's just a storm grenade. They still give me a grenade on every death on my Stormcaller. It's still helpful, and I don't know what else to run. So I think they have plus heavy ammo. No, they don't. They don't have. Okay. So yeah, that's the exotic I run on my Warlock, either Stormcaller or Voidwalker. Now, I don't really pretty much ever play Sunsinger right now. That could change. And right now the artifact I'm using on all classes is Gelion. And this is kind of interesting because I switched the memory of Jolder back when I was playing Rumble. And Jolder removes the sprint lock, and Rumble is all about fast-paced sprinting around everywhere. CQC, all that. So I thought, well, it'd be better, and plus you're not doing a lot of hard scoping in Rumble. So I was just like, well, the best thing would be Jolder. I better learn how to play with this because I need to run and face these shotgun warriors. So I kind of got used to Jolder, and I started just assuming it was helping me a lot. But I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think Galeon's the way to go. And I just like a couple days ago switched back to Galeon. One thing is, I thought there was a sprint lock all the time. I mean, silly me, been playing this game for 3 years. I thought every time you tried to sprint, it locked you at first. Like, I thought that was a thing, but I was reading on Reddit, they said something about it's only like if you sprint 3 consecutive times, it locks you. And I'm like, really? Well, who gives a shit? You know, the number of times I sprint 3 times in a row is like, it's not that big a factor where I need to worry about it. So if that's the case, and I haven't even really looked into it, and I seem to be sprinting fine since I switched back to my Galeon. And I think Galeon's the clear choice because that radar, really can help you. And a lot of people, will say it's a crutch, and yeah, it's true. But especially with my long-range scout pulse playstyle, centric playstyle, and non-CQC, I think Galeon's the way to go. And so I've switched to it probably, for good now. Before that, I was running Jolder, but as I said, just literally in the last week or so, I've read some Reddit posts and stuff and reconsidered. And switched from Jolder back to Galeon. I used to run Galeon, and Galeon's a natural fit for me because I always ran Mida, and I always have that long-range playstyle. It was only then when I started doing the Rumble Grimoire, I felt like I needed more mobility, and it was just like a theoretical thing. I couldn't tell if it was really helping me, but I just, my mind said, hey, you need mobility in Rumble. You need to be able to sprint all the time. You're always sprinting around, getting into sprint. Sprinting into confrontations. You need maximum sprint. You need Jolders. And so I started using it, and I didn't mind it too much. But like I said, I'm back to Galeons, and I think that's the way to go for all artifacts. And I've noticed over time that, it's the only 2 artifacts most people use are either Jolder or Galeons, and it seems like Galeons is taking over more and more. That's kind of the point of the meta. The best rises to the top. And if anything, I think Galeon's becoming meta. And this is a game very biased towards CQC, shotgun, hand cannon, apes. So, Jolder has the natural advantage. And the fact that Galeon's kind of rising to the top, even though all these people are going to be naturally biased towards Jolder, really says a lot for Galeons. Now, let's talk about Hunter Exotic. What do I run? Well, I pretty much only play Blade Dancer on Hunter. Now, I just started farting around with Night Stalker a little bit, too. Again, just to decrease the boredom, try something new. But I've kind of had a change of heart on the... Big change of heart on the... Blade Dancer was my original. I've got way more time with a Blade Dancer in Destiny PvP than any other class by far. Because I always played a Blade Dancer. Always mained a Blade Dancer. From day one. So for the first 2 years, I was just Blade Dancer, Blade Dancer, Blade Dancer. And then I made Titans and Warlocks, a Titan and a Warlock, and and I never was into Night Stalker. So you gotta just consider that Blade Dancer is my main class that I've probably got. If you added up all my playtime in this game since the beginning, probably 90% of it has been on Blade Dancer, at least 80%. So on Blade Dancer, again, I read a Reddit post that kind of changed. I was with Shinobu's Vow, of course, before they nerfed the grenades, the skip grenades. So much so that I even collected Shinobu's Vow in hand cannon loader, pulse loader, every different kind of loader. I have it, even auto rifle loader. And I sit there and re-roll them with glass shards to have intellect discipline, so they fit with any armor tier that I use and so forth. That's how serious I was about Shinobu's Vow and how serious I am about this game and how much playtime I put in it. I have Shinobu's Vow with every loader and intellect discipline, a decent roll. I sat there with glass shards and did that. So, if I'm sitting there and I'm running a pulse, I just put on my pulse Shinobu's Vow. If I'm running a scout, I put on my scout Shinobu's Vow. So on and so forth. So yeah, I was running after they nerfed Shinobu's Vow. I was like, fuck it. At that time, for some reason, I got it in my head that skip grenades are really not that good anyway. They're good, but they're kind of overrated. So I just switched to the one I was using in year 2, which is a good general exotic, which is the ATS-8 Tarantella. It just gives you a little bit faster grenade recharge. Kind of just a placeholder exotic, almost like these Void Fangs, when you just, you're not too high in anything else to use these, because at least they help, But another Reddit post again. So many times Reddit, those guys on Reddit are very analytical, and they changed my mind. But basically got to me to thinking about it, and he was basically like, look, if you're a Blade Dancer, he was not replying to me or anything. He was talking to somebody else, but I just was reading this discussion. He's like, look, if you're running a Blade Dancer, you should know. If you skip, use Shinobis. If you don't, you skip, use Frosties. It's that simple. Don't use Tarantella. So I got to thinking about it, and he had the evidence and stuff to back this up or whatever. Or it was clear he knew what he was talking about, a high-level player. So the more I thought about it, the more, I was like, that's very true. So I did switch back to Shinobis. So, yeah. Honestly, and I started experimenting with Frosties. Again, it was fun, too. Just do something different. Frosties can give you your grenade twice as fast. I almost think they may be better than Shinobis. Like I said, Shinobis, it recharges that second grenade so slow. And I think Bungie may have nerfed it even lower than the other grenades, where there was some sort of debate about that, or I've read some comments on Reddit that it takes 55 seconds to recharge the second grenade on Shinobi's Vow, I think, which it used to be 45, something like that. Basically the second grenade of Shinobi's, I think, may be now charging slower than pre-nerf. Not 100% confirmed on that. And it already charged slow. The second grenade always charges slow. So to me, it's like, I don't know how often I really notice that second grenade with Shinobi's. Like, it's very rare that I sit there and go, oh yeah, I can throw 2 grenades right now, So I may go ahead and switch back to Frosties. The Frosties are nice because at first I didn't like the whole idea, because I know how my mind works and I'm kind of OCD and whatnot. And I just knew, like, if I'm wearing Frosties, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be thinking all the time, I need to be running, I need to be running, I need to be running. And it's going to affect my play. I'm not going to be able to relax and play a normal game, because I'm going to be thinking all the time, I need to be running to get the benefit out of my Frosties. I'll be running around all the time when I don't want to run. But I read another post about them, I think, or video, and it was basically like, look, you run all the time in this game anyway, without even thinking about it. I mean, think about when you play PvP. When you play PvE, what are you doing 80% of the time you're sprinting somewhere. And so you're automatically, like, naturally getting the benefit of Frosties. And that rung very true to me. So I was scared of Frosties before, like I said, because I just thought it would bug me consciously thinking all the time that I need to run. But then when I read that, or saw that video, I think it was, about that guy who was like, look, you're sprinting all the time anyway, just naturally in this game, about, 80% of the time. So they're very effective. So once I realized that, I became, like, not scared of Frosties, and I was using them. I mean, I like them. I may even switch back to them over the gauntlets. The one thing the gauntlets do give you, though, just forgot about this momentarily, is they give you the improved tracking, I think, on the skips still, even though they got nerfed. So that I had kind of forgot, but that's another reason to stick with Shinobi. But I was experimenting with Frosties. It's fun to experiment with something different. If I'm running a Night Stalker, these obviously, I would probably run Frosties for more grenades, since they'll work on any class. Or I might even run Bones just to jump around more. I'm not a big mobility guy. I'm not a, Bones are so great in PvP. I'm not to that level of skill where it matters, that I can tell yet, anyway. If I run Gunslinger, I actually kind of recommend Active Phage Symbiote for the 4th Golden Gunshot. And most people, it's completely fallen out of favor, but I think kind of unfairly, because they did buff it a while back, where it got a little more, a couple seconds more run time. I would, I don't know, I don't play Gunslinger enough to know, but I would probably try to run Symbiote and get that 4th kill, I really would. But I haven't played Gunslinger in ages, so it's kind of a moot point. And if anything, like I said, I've been dabbling. I dabbled a little the other day in Night Stalker, not Gunslinger. For my Titan, I generally only play Striker. Actually, I don't even have Sunbreaker fully leveled. I did dabble around in Sunbreaker the other day because I was leveling it, basically. And since I was on my Titan and I was leveling, I'm like, might as well play, if I'm going to play PvP, leave it on Sunbreaker so that it can level up while I'm just naturally playing. As for exotics, what do I use? I just use the Armamentarium, which is like a generic double grenade. It has heavy plus heavy, which is awesome. It has awesome roll. I mean, not to brag, but look at all this green. I mean, I play this game a ton, and I don't even try to get tier 12s. And just by accident, I've got all this fucking green and blue shit. I've got a lot of good rolls. I don't really worry too much about tier 12. Let me talk about tiers for a second. What I generally shoot for is tier 11 with the right perks. To me, the perks are way more important. Like on your helmet, you always want the perk that gives you more super on grenade kills, which I guess I don't have. Oh yeah, I do have it. Game bonus super energy on grenade kills, for example. because that'll help you in PvP. You know, just a little, but hey, consider most helmet perks are useless in PvP. That's the one you want. Same thing with the, you know, any kind of ammo perks don't really seem to matter to me anymore with the special ammo changes. Except that you want to be running like rocket launcher boots, for example, to kick you to 3 rockets with the warpath that I have. So yeah, I just, you know, I'm looking for the right perks on my armor, not the tier 12. I don't worry about tier 12. It's too restricting. And I'm sure I could run DIM and figure out what my tier 12 loadouts are. I have done that before, but right now I don't really care. I'm not a big melee guy anyway, so I'm not so worried about my melee being up all the time. I'm not a CQC guy. So I generally run 5.5 something. If I run 5.50, I don't mind. Now, 99% of the time I'm running 5.51. I do actually make it a point to usually run the 1, although sometimes it's 5.50. But it helped that I used to have some really shitty artifacts rolls on the Jolder. I had the 75% Jolder. Finally got an 84% the other day. That alone helped me a lot, because even with like almost 100%, see all these greens I have, even with really good other rolls, sometimes I'd struggle to hit tier 11 with that crappy Jolder, and just this 84% Jolder helped a lot. And I can just set it to strength, and it's like 77 strength, so I'm tier 1 in strength, and then I just can go, and it's very easy to hit tier 5 in like discipline from there. Like this one, I needed something else with strength that was so bad. Like its strength, it would only give you like 57 strength, as you see here. I mean, it's like fuck that. It wouldn't even quite give me tier 1 strength by itself. This one I just set to strength. It gives me 77 strength, so I'm tier 1, and then I just work everything else out to be tier 5, and that's really easy. That's what I like to do, just make it easy. It's always easy to hit, you know, strength tier 11. And I'm not that worried about it. Also, if I run Blade Dancer, I recently found a couple of fun ways to set up your subclass. I didn't realize Fast Twitch was as good as it was. I never realized that increases your charge melee in like 7 seconds. I never realized that. I always ran Backstab. So now I'm going to run Fast Twitch, so I don't have to worry much about being strength anyway. I guess I could do subclass setup, but this video has already gone on so long, but I guess it wouldn't kill me to do a subclass setup thing. Basically, I run what everybody else does. On Blade Dancer, I run skips generally, better control, double jump. I run Arc Blade, of course, Vanish. You really need to run that in Arc Blade right now, in my opinion, because it's such a bad super. But Arc Blade at least gives you a chance to sneak up and get a kill or two. Fast Switch, that's a new one. For first, you know, that's like literally a week ago I decided to try that, and I didn't realize it cools down your blink strike so fast. Never knew that, or never registered with me. Other than that, I pretty much I run blink strike. Well, you gotta run blink strike. I run basically max armor, of course, quick draw, of course, and hungering blade, of course, the usuals. For Night Stalker, I don't know enough about Night Stalker or Golden Gun for it to matter. Of course, I try to run Envenomed on my grenades, and you know, I do what everybody else does, copy. I tried to run spikes actually for a grenade. I'm not sure if they're good or not. I know playing against them sometimes, I'm like, wow, those suckers are strong. But I don't know. I think Vortex may be better. For Warlock, Stormcaller, I mean, again, I just copy the crowd because I know they're effective. I run Focus Burst, Superconductor, Amplitude, Transcendence. I run Max Armor, Electrostatic Mind, and Storm Grenades. One thing is I don't run Ionic Blink. I tried that and I just couldn't make it work, but at that time I was actually kind of learning how to use the Storm Trance because I was very poor with it, and I like the chaining. The chaining really helped. But I think that if you were at high level play, you're going to want Ionic Blink, so I probably need to learn how to use that. But me, or if you're like in trials where they're going to team shot the shit out of you. But I just in sixes and in Rumble, I found just running normal Storm Trance was better, and getting the extra chaining of Superconductor really led to a lot more kills. Like I said, I think Ionic Blink would be the play if you're skilled, but I'm not. But I may try it. May try to start doing that. Sunsinger, it doesn't matter. I'm not good enough. I don't ever play it. Voidwalker, I run whatever everybody else does, I think. I run Vortex on my Nova Bomb. I just kind of run defaults on these. I don't know enough, and I'm not good enough to annihilate. I usually go to Guardians GG and check out what win rates every perk has. Although I think that's sometimes a little misleading. But I look for perks with like that a lot of people use, and that the most percentage of people use, and that the kill rates are high. You kind of want both. Don't just go for the ones with the kill rates, because sometimes you'll notice like, oh, this one has a higher KD, but 2% of people play it. It's not right there. 2% of people are choosing something, regardless of what the kill KD ratio is. It tells you it's not very good, at least for the masses. You know, it tells you. But if you see something with a high KD and 35% of people are playing it, then yeah, take that one. Or 55%. You know, then you know it's the people's choice, so to speak. But yeah, I just wanted to go over my current Destiny loadout. Can't believe how long this video took, and exotics that I use. Just going over some basics.